Well, Eddie, Happy New Year. A delayed start to the year, I guess, because of the ban with boxing in the UK. But how pleased are you to unveil these 8 fights for February and March?
Yeah, we can't wait. I mean, we would have liked to have done a show in January. That was taken away from us by the British Boxing Board of Control. But we start off nice and fast. February the 5th in Phoenix, Liam Smith from Liverpool with a massive opportunity against Jesse Vargas, 2-weight world champion. Quadras against Rungvisai for the World Championship on the undercard for that fight as well. And then we go to February the 12th. We're back at Alexandra Palace after a brilliant World Championship of darts, and finally bring a big American star over to these shores. Daniel the Miracle Man Jacobs fights John Ryder in a brilliant fight at Alexandra Palace on February the 12th. February the 27th, we go back to London with Lawrence Okoli defending his world title against Sislak, the Pole, who's a top contender in the cruiserweight division. March 5th, we're back in America, San Diego, for the trilogy Estrada against Chocolatito. March 12th, we're in Nottingham. Brilliant fight. Michael Conlon challenges Lee Wood for his WBA featherweight world title. And 2 weeks later, we're in Leeds for Josh Warrington, trying to become a 2-time world champion against the upsetter, Kiko Martinez. And then moving into April, we hope to finalise Taylor against Serrano at Madison Square Garden, the return of Conor Benn, and of course, the big heavyweight fights as well. Anthony Joshua against Alexander Usyk, and we'll see where Tyson Fury against Dillian Whyte gets to as well.
It all sounds brilliant. I wanted to start with Liam Smith, actually, because when you speak to him, he really does believe that he can be a world champion once again. And I guess in that fight against Anthony Fowler, he just showed the level that he's capable of.
Liam Smith is a world-class fighter. I mean, look, his defeats at the top level, a very close fight with Munguia, and against Canelo Alvarez, of course, as well. He's proved time and time again that he's a world-class fighter. He wanted the Jesse Vargas fight. He got robbed out in Russia against Kurbanov. And then I said to him, look, take that Fowler fight. If you beat Anthony Fowler in front of a sold-out Liverpool arena, you can raise your profile, and we'll give you that dream fight against Jesse Vargas. So he did his job. We did ours. Feb 5th, Liam Smith gets the opportunity, really of a lifetime and of his career, to go and have a major victory in a fight that is a complete 50-50 fight between two world-class fighters.
And it's brilliant to get Daniel Jacobs over to these shores. I'm sure you've been looking to do that for a long time. And there's so much on the line there as well, isn't there? The winner of that fight between him and John Ryder, they set themselves up for a really huge 2022.
It's a brilliant fight because, personally, John Ryder is a friend of ours. Tony Sims is like a father to him, and they've put a lot of pressure on me to pull it out the bag. John Ryder had a razor-thin fight with Callum Smith in Liverpool, could have gone either way. He wants an opportunity. Daniel Jacobs, who lost his world championship to Canelo Alvarez, beat Julio Cesar Chavez, drew with Rosado. He also needs that big statement. And fair play to Danny Jacobs. When I signed Danny Jacobs, he said, I would love to fight in the UK. But now he's coming into Ryder's backyard. I mean, he's from Islington. We're at Ali Pali. It's going to be a brilliant atmosphere and a really big card there as well in London. And I'm expecting a great fight, and really good to see a major name like Daniel Jacobs come and fight in the UK.
When it comes to Lawrence Okoli, I think he's been frustrated. I imagine you've been frustrated as well. How challenging has it been to find him the right opponent? And do you think sooner rather than later he may make the bid and go up to heavyweight simply because he can't really find anyone that appealing at this weight?
Yeah, I think that, with COVID and the delays on everything and mandatories, it's frozen up the unification. Gulamarin against Igorov, which was a fight he was supposed to fight the winner. Gulamarin got COVID, that got pushed into this year. Bradis has a mandatory, Makabu's waiting around for Canelo. So we have to go out. We contemplated a move to heavyweight for this fight, but then when we nailed Sislak, who is a genuine world championship contender, I was happy with that fight. It's by far the toughest fight of Lawrence Okoli's career so far, but this guy he's brilliant. He's a wrecking machine, and I believe he can steamroll through everyone in the division. But we have to do that, in my opinion, before he moves to heavyweight. Because once you go up, there's no turning back.
There are some brilliant cards, but when you pick out one, for me, it probably would be Josh Warrington against Kiko Martinez. When it comes to Josh, did it take much persuading to tell him, forget about Mauricio Lara now, I've got a world title opportunity for you in March?
Well, it was really, it was more Kiko Martinez. We had promotional options on him. We talked about that rematch with Kid Galahad. Kid Galahad, rightfully so, in my opinion, going up to 130 now at super featherweight. And Kiko Martinez, he had a very close fight with Josh Warrington before. And, he wanted to go and rematch him. He believes he can beat him. It was a big money fight for him. When Josh Warrington got the call, as much as he wanted a trilogy with Maurizio Lara, he'd rather do that as a world champion. So for him to get a chance to reclaim a piece of that world championship within the division. And also importantly, just 2 weeks before that, Michael Conlan against Lee Wood, which is a great fight. The winner of that fight, which I believe will be the super championship at featherweight with the WBA, can unify against the winner of Warrington against Kiko Martinez. That's another huge fight. And 2 really big featherweight world championships dropping in March on DAZN.
And as you said at the top, there's so many more exciting fights to be made over the coming year. Were you surprised by some of the reaction to your comments about a potential fight between Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder?
Yeah, I mean, what I said in that fight, I said that if Derek gets past 4 or 5 rounds in that fight, I believe he can win that fight. I just don't think Wilder can outlast him in terms of his energy. He could get chinned on the way in, of course, because we know Wilder punches like a mule. But Derek Chisora is not regressing as a fighter. People keep saying, I need to walk away from the sport now. It's very difficult when you're looking better than ever in the gym, when you're putting in good performances. Do you know what I mean? To actually, what I'd like to see Derek do is actually have a fight where he's a 50-50 in, right? Luis Ortiz, tough fight, but didn't look great the other week. Chris Arreola, Adam Konecki. These are great Saturday night fight nights for Derek Chisora. And we'll see, we're continuing those talks at the moment. He wants to continue fighting. And whilst he does, and he's fit and healthy to do so, I would still love to have him on the shows.
I spoke to Derek the other day and he said, as you know, he's willing to fight anybody. Are you willing to give Wilder an offer now and make that concrete, the opportunity for those 2 to fight?
I don't think that Wilder is, necessarily going to take an offer from us to come over to the UK and fight on one of our shows against Derek Chisora. But, who knows? But look, Wilder's a massive favourite in the fight with Chisora. I'm not an idiot. But what I do know is that if Chisora can find a way to get past those opening rounds, he's going to be an absolute nightmare. And you imagine Deontay Wilder against Derek Chisora at the O2. I mean, it's a massive event. So, but, I like those other names as well. And Derek's always going to be a draw. He's always going to hit numbers and always going to give the fans value for money.
Let's talk briefly about Anthony Joshua. He's been out in Dubai training with Lawrence Okolie and Floyd Mayweather as well. What is the latest when it comes to his training setup?
A lot of work's been behind the scenes. Generally, the stuff that you see on social media from AJ is not really that relevant to the work and what's actually going on behind the scenes. I think when we talk about a fight with Usyk, which we expect to happen probably in April time, camp will start at the end of this month or in early Feb. So we have to be in a position to move on that at pace. And he has to be in a position to move with a training team. I just finished a call where they said, you're concerned he still hasn't got a trainer yet. Or I said, well, what? I said, well, you don't know that. Just because he doesn't post it on his Instagram doesn't mean he hasn't been working tirelessly behind the scenes, which he has. So now, once camp starts, you can expect an announcement from AJ to let everybody know about where he'll be training, who he'll be training with. And like I said, there's been a lot of work going on in America, in the UK with trainers to make sure that he can hit the ground running and have a perfect camp for what is a really important fight.
Let's talk about Whyte against Fury. Frank Warren was saying that Tyson Fury will fight at the end of March. Do you think the opponent will be Dillian Whyte?
Well, I mean, if we win the first bid, Tyson Fury against Dillian Whyte will be when we say it will be. But there's a lot going on now with the arbitration, the legal case. Dillian Whyte wants his shot. He deserves his shot. And he should be getting a fight with Tyson Fury next. We'll see how that unfolds. It's a great fight. There's no reason why that fight shouldn't take place. It generates a huge amount of money. And we'll see what ensues over the next couple of days.
Are negotiations still ongoing, or do you think it is now a case of almost a certainty it's going to purse bids now?
Yeah, not really a huge amount of negotiations, because obviously there was a ruling from the WBC of an 80-20 split. We don't agree with that. We don't feel like we should accept that. That will be appealed against, via the WBC, via arbitration or via a legal process. And until that ruling is made, then we'll see where we're at. If that's the final ruling and we have to go to purse bid for that fight, we will bid what we believe the value of that fight is. And clearly right now, we have a very different assessment of that value than other people, according to the bids and offers that have been made to Dillian Whyte.
And finally, as you know, in boxing, these things can take longer than you want them to. When do you think we will get some clarity on this situation? Do you think we'll get clarity next week when it comes to those purse bids, or can we be waiting a while longer?
Yeah, March and April for these fights. You know, you're within 2 or 3 weeks max of having to unveil the schedule for March and April. You know, we've just announced our schedule up to the end of March today. So, you know, I would expect heavyweight news dropping in the next few weeks.